for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast with your co-host, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
Week 2 in his... Where are you at, Kirk?
This is my New York apartment.
Right.
My high-rise. My sky-rise high-rise.
Yeah, I love it. It's very sophisticated. In fact, the last show open, I was so off-put by it. I felt like I blew up the whole beginning of the show because I was just like so distracted by the splendor and the swankiness and the prestige of your new backdrop there.
Understandable. Yeah, it's pretty great. I fly out here only for recordings.
Oh wow. Wow. I didn't know that little nugget. That's pretty fancy. And for those of you who 2 weeks in a row are not watching the stream or not watching the video recap on YouTube, this bit is just going nowhere for you, and I'm sorry about that.
I mean, let me describe to you. I have moved into a New York high-rise. I have a grand piano. I have a stone chimney and fireplace. Don't know how that happens in an apartment in a skyrise, and just a plethora of the most exquisite things that you do not have in your home. That's in my apartment.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm
jealous. I'm jealous.
I'm straight out of one slide or every slide of the Houzz app, Houzz. Plug for Houzz to support us for our podcast, please.
There you go. The thing I kept thinking about last time, but I didn't think to say it, was that sound on TikTok that's like, look at this distinguished gentleman. Look at the way he is sitting there. Yeah, yes, very distinguished. That's you right now. You're the distinguished gentleman.
I am a distinguished gentleman. Thank you. Thank you for that honor.
Well, Kirk, welcome back. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I am your other co-host, Cam. And
yes, you are.
This is What's Poppin'. For those of you who are new to the stream, we do this every Monday night. We also, if you've been listening to the podcast, every Tuesday morning you can find a new edition of What's Poppin'. It's the latest in movie and TV news from around the industry. And it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows because it's like normal news. You know how people talk about like slow news cycle this week. Right. Here comes the stupid stories. Well, we try to limit it on the stupid stories because we have control over it, and we're not, we're doing this for fun. We're not getting like, we're not writing our own stories or generating our own stuff. So we just pick the actual good stuff, and then if we don't have anything to talk about, we just won't. But this week we do have some stuff to talk about. Some big stories going on. Some some like doom and gloom type stuff going on in the film industry, which I felt like, post-COVID, what could be worse than that? I mean, that was like the most doom and gloom time. So it's not that bad, but there's some stuff going on that is of note that is a little bit on the downward side of news. So we'll get into that.
You've got Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You've got
boy.
Elon Musk bought Twitter today. That's big. We're going to talk for an hour and a half just on that. So
wow,
I hope you're
not talking about either of those things, though. I do want to talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I try not to bring that stuff into the podcast and keep it limited to like actual movies and like not the gossip stuff. But I just have to ask, like, the sentiment analysis you're seeing, like if you had to gauge it, what percentage of people would you say are in favor of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard in this whole situation right now, today, April 25th?
99% for Johnny Depp.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't know that it's always been that way. I know that, at the beginning, there was certainly a like cautious sort of, if true, Johnny Depp is definitely a scumbag and not a good guy type of thing. But like since then, it's just been like momentum building towards the whole like Amber Heard has built this whole conspiracy thing. And now it's just a giant dumpster fire on her side of this.
It's true.
Deal.
It's true because in also 99% of cases, it is the man, because the man loses his mind and can't handle it anymore, right? And so this is the one-off case, which there are many out there where the woman is the abuser, and she's a monster, and she needs to be stopped.
Yeah, and it's interesting for a number of reasons. I think first of all, like these sorts of high-profile cases between two actors in
Hmm.
like that kind of stuff doesn't really happen in Hollywood that often, where you have like actual criminal and civil suits going on between two, Johnny Depp, majorly high profile, Amber Heard,
Right. Meh.
like, but people know. It just really is sort of a rare thing, and for it to have so much intrigue now with the advent of all of the everything that's coming out regarding the Amber Heard stuff, like it is very interesting. I've been following it closely.
There's some crazy stuff that once the verdict comes in, we will happily dive deeper into this.
We
And I
will.
cannot wait because I will trash Amber Heard till kingdom comes because
Because she's a bad actor or because she's a bad person or both.
both.
uh yeah, and this just brings me back. So we had a conversation about Ezra Miller last week, not really planning to. And the unfortunate thing was that I didn't realize that Ezra identifies as they them. So we were calling Ezra Miller he the whole time. That was a mistake. But immediately after our conversation on that, when we were talking about how Ezra Miller is a lizard person who goes around assaulting people, getting super drunk and like under the influence, and
Literally choking women to the ground.
yeah, choking
this
people
person.
out. Immediately after we had that conversation, in the lens of like DC, Ezra Miller went out and once again got arrested in Hawaii. It's like Ezra Miller versus Hawaii right now. I don't know what's happening. It's like cage
Hawaii will
match.
win.
Only one person will be left standing at the end. But going back to the DC discussion, so now two members of their much maligned DCEU at this point, and somewhat key members. I mean, certainly Ezra, massively key member. I mean,
Right.
they are the Flash, and there's this movie all around them that is like supposed to be the focal point for the DCEU going forward. That speaks for itself. Then you've got Amber Heard over here, who, I mean, the public has totally turned on her, and she's starring in the Aquaman movie. Like, what do you do at this point? You and I have been saying tear it down forever, but with new leadership in place, how much more will it take for them to legitimately tear this down with Aquaman 2 and The Flash like close to done?
Right. I think they're weighing their options. I think they're crunching numbers right now against will their box office numbers be, returnable? Will they get their ROI? Still with Ezra Miller at the helm, even though they still might fire him right after this, which they should. They should pull the plug right now. And I guarantee you, even the most diehard DC fans would be like, all right, I get it. That makes sense.
It does start to make sense. They are becoming sort of scorched earth at this point.
It's a pattern.
Untouchable property. Ezra Miller, like it's. I don't know how you can. I don't know how, as an organization, you can continue to represent them without like either cutting loose or offering help and support and rehab and like the things that they will need. Ezra Miller needs these things apparently because
Mhm.
Ezra Miller's not able to go out in public without harming people. So that's a problem. And if you're going to continue to employ this person at a high sum of money, at a certain point, the responsibility starts to fall on you. But
There's three things that's happening with Ezra Miller. There is obviously a drug problem. There's obviously an
certainly,
alcohol problem,
hmm
and there's obviously a bad acting problem. Honestly, he's not not that good of an actor. So what I will
right.
say clearly and full force that DC needs to fire both Ezra and Amber Heard because neither of them deserve to be in a major franchise. I mean, if you open those up, let's do this. I think that I would be, I could resemble Amber Heard like a brother. So why can't Aquaman have a brother? And we just insert me into all those scenes, and you have dark hair. You can become the Flash. I think this is what the world needs.
Perfect.
Just like that.
Yeah, me and Ezra Miller have really similar physiques, and
Yes.
so I mean, if I were them, to be quite honest with you, and I know they have an inordinate amount of cash piled into this thing,
Mm-hmm.
you have to start to think this could be a decent escape rope that you wouldn't really have to explain to shareholders. Like they would
Right.
probably get it, right? And yeah, you're going to take it in the teeth money wise, but you get clean slate on the DCEU. You don't have to do anything. And you can pick and choose what you want to keep still. You can still do that. Like I think you can still keep the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker and all the stuff that's good that came out of that. And everything else, you can onesie twosie decide what you're going to keep and probably keep mostly none of it. I don't even know, like maybe Shazam, but you know, who knows? But if I were them, I would start to consider that option because that's looking pretty satisfying and pretty tantalizing at this point.
There's 100% chance that there is at least one shot of Ezra Miller getting kicked into another world. And I think you
certainly
just let that happen. And then Grant Gustin steps up and says, I guess this is my world now.
Hey, that could work. That could work.
Takes the helm and just goes for it, man.
Or anybody, you know, when you're doing a multiverse, because there's been, with all of this like Doctor Strange stuff, there's been talks of like Tom Cruise, you know, Tom Cruise appearing as an alternate version of Tony Stark. But I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't even have to be Grant Gustin. Like, obviously he's good enough, whatever. CW, it is what it is. But you could put anybody in.
He supersedes the CW camp.
You could put anybody in there. You honestly could. You could be like, hey, here's the new Flash. The other Barry that you knew is long gone. Goodbye. The end.
This is Larry Talon.
I mean, listen, their options are, but I'm just saying, like they are now sitting on two tarnished goods, like very bad assets that need to go. So anyway, so there's that. After I just said we're not a gossip column, here we are digging into all the tea. But
next up, we were not going to talk about Elon Musk and Twitter, ladies and gentlemen.
Elon Musk now owns Twitter, so there's that. I have no idea what that has to do with film. Maybe something. Maybe somebody will make a movie about it.
Oh.
They're making movies about dumber things, like that guy who tweeted at Jeannie Bouchard during the Super Bowl. Jeannie Bouchard's a tennis player, a young tennis player, and a guy tweeted at her during the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl and said, if the Patriots win this game, when they were down 28-3, if the Patriots win this game, will you go out on a date? And she was like, yeah, we'll go out on a date. And the Patriots came back and won, the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. They went on a date. But that's the end of the story. Like they're cool, but like they didn't get married or anything. They're making a movie out of that. A movie out of that.
That's terrible.
It's going to be real bad. It's going to be real bad. But I'm just saying. So Elon Musk buying Twitter, they can make a movie.
Who would play Elon in a movie? Who would it be?
Elon, because he was in Iron Man 2. Don't forget. He's an actor, Kirk. He's a thespian.
Oh man.
Only Elon can play Elon. But seriously, you know, he has a pretty iconic look. So you have to find somebody who can recreate that. I think
who can be so disheveled. You know what? There is someone. They played a Bond villain, and
yes,
I can't think of his name.
The Schiff. That's who you're thinking of, isn't it?
Probably. And I think he'd be about the same age now. Maybe they might even be the same age.
Oh wait! No, I know who you're talking about. Hold on. He was also in The Dark Knight, right? Or The Dark Knight Rises?
Possibly. And I think he's got some hair that could be. It's a little curly, but I think you could straighten it out just a little bit.
Hold on.
And make it look disheveled. What I'm always thinking about is that I don't know if it's a doctored video of Elon Musk walking through one of his factories, and there's like a reporter asking him questions, and he's like following Elon Musk, and then all of a sudden Elon turns and he's like, "What do you think?" He's like asking him like 6 questions, and Elon's like, "What were you talking to me?" Like that's the idea of Elon Musk, because there's so much running through his head at all times that he can't keep any one thought straight.
Are you thinking of this guy? Or no?
I might be.
You're not thinking of Mads Mikkelsen, surely.
Not Mads.
Yeah. I don't know. This when you
close.
started talking about it, this is Bern Gorman. He was in The Dark Knight Rises. I don't know if he has any Bond in his in his pathway. But
I'll find him. And if all else fails, I'll play him. It's fine. I'll dye my hair. I'll shave my face. It's fine. I can play
you would have to
him.
significantly alter your face. I think Adam Driver could potentially be a fit with some work. You know how they make, they pick superstars and then they kind of
They
make it work. I know, but they wouldn't even have to do that much. Just use your imagination, like people have been doing with Tom Hanks for the last 30 years.
Tom Hanks could play him. That'd be good.
To complete the biopic octet. I don't know how many people he has pretended to be at this point. Oh Lord. Because seriously, he looked nothing like Mr. Rogers in that Mr. Rogers movie.
Correct.
Can we be honest? Not at all. And yet, good performance, I would say, overall.
Excellent performance, yep.
So who knows? But they will make a movie about it. Who knows what will happen? I think Elon will play himself. We'll see what happens. But let's get into some of the other stuff. There's some big news going on. But one of the things I want to get into first as we kick off what's popping here is the box office, Kirk. I want to talk about the box office. So there's a sentiment around film Twitter right now that the box office is struggling for any number of reasons. Everybody has their theories. One of the prevailing theories right now is that consumers so here are some of the theories right now. Consumers post MCU are dumber and need mass appeal content to go to the movies, i.e. they will not see something like The Northman, The Last Duel, something that's like an art house, The Green Knight, or something like they may have used to do, which I don't even know if that's been validated. But they're saying that now people will only go for these sort of like MCU caliber films. So that's one theory. Another theory is streaming. Obviously streaming has changed the way people view content and how much people are willing to pay for content that they cannot view in their own home, and how much willingness there is to do something like that. And then the third one is that the pandemic is just still on people's minds, and people don't either A, don't feel it's safe to attend the movie theaters at this point, or B, have fallen out of the habit. They just don't even, it's not even in their evoked set of ideas when they think about doing something, because for 2 years they didn't do it. So my question to you is, which of those is driving it, in your opinion? And before I get into that, let's look at some numbers on this, okay?
Do you have a pie graph?
No, I'm not going to show any numbers, but I'm going to talk through some stuff. So worth noting that we just wrapped up Q1 of 2022, right? So January through March. And the box office was up 463% over last year. Now, you're comping the worst year in film history, probably, right? As in terms of like what was going on. If you adjust for inflation, almost certainly the worst year for film in the modern era. Right?
So from 2021 to 2022?
Yeah, from 2021 to 2022, we see 400% growth. But if you comp 2022 to the first year pre-COVID, so 2019, it's a little over half of the cumulative gross domestic earnings. So 1.3 million compared to 2.4 million in 2019. So not a full recovery. We're not back to pre-COVID numbers. And even if you compare to 2020, which was right as COVID was starting to hit in March of 2020, the box office is down from Q1 of that year by about 400K. So there's that.
I have a whiteboard.
Oh, you have a whiteboard, but
I have a whiteboard, but my beautiful skyrise is.
I don't know, Kirk. The illusion is shattering right before our eyes.
Oh no,
it's not going to work.
Keep going.
But anyway, so here's the question. I guess there are two questions. Is the box office really down? It's up 400% year over year, 450 or so percent.
Oh no.
Or is it just still on the uptick? People are getting back in the groove and it'll be back to normal by next year. And if it is down, what's the cause? You have the floor, sir.
X equals MC squared, I think is the correct answer. Is that right?
I mean, E equals MC squared,
Oh,
not X.
no! Well, clearly then I don't have the answer. I think okay, so run this by me. The first one was the MCU big event. I'm not getting out of my pajamas for this idea. I don't
Yeah.
think that's the case.
Okay. So
The
event
second,
cinema making people dumber, and therefore they're not as interested in things that are non IP, existing IP.
yep,
You're not buying that one.
not buying that. Option 2 was streaming. Option to stream at home. And what was
Yes.
option 3 or option 2, A and B?
Option 3, A and B, was that people, are not going back to the theaters as a result of the pandemic because either they're still not feeling safe enough to go, or the pandemic has taken them out of the habit.
Excellent. I think it's 2 and 3B. Let me restate those. That is because of streaming and because people are out of the habit. I think those are the predominant ones, because I will even say myself is that depending on the movie, this is very specific. I love to go to the theater. If I could only go to the theater, I would. However, if there's a movie that I really want to just be alone with and like really have no other distractions, no one going up and down the stairs of the movie theater, and I get scared to this day thinking, oh no, here comes a scary moment from a person, not the actual movie. I want to sit in my living room, lights off, with my Philips Hue backlight on, and I just want to zone in. So that is the beauty of streaming sometimes with the right kind of movie. Has to be an indie, usually. Has to be a quiet, a soft spoken film. Um, so that's very specific, right? So then then 3B, which I already forgot. What point was that?
People being out of the habit.
Out of the habit, right? So life is busy, and life got immediately busy when masks came off in the majority of the United States. And I felt like I have and still do feel like there's no time for anything. And so while I'm out of the habit, I want to be in the habit, but then I'm like, meh, I'm kind of tired. I would love to stream that today. So that's how they're kind of merged together for me.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely do think that box office behavior has changed. I don't think that, I think there is some optimism that, we're just still on the incline, right? Like we're bouncing back, we're climbing up. I don't necessarily feel that way. I don't feel like we will get back to where we were, 11 million, 11, I was using millions before, it's billions, $11 billion domestic box office every year type of thing. I don't know that comes back. I just really don't. I tend to think that streaming is the reason though, and almost entirely that streaming is the reason. And I think that what accelerated it was what HBO Max did this last year by making films available to watch at home. I think people now feel like they are just going to wait for it to be at home, because the streaming wars are so vicious that that the windows between theatrical release and at home viewing is so short that if you're not really, like, if you're busy, like you said, Kirk, or not really paying attention, it feels like that. I mean, it feels like a snap of your fingers and all of a sudden it's out. The Batman released, what was the release date on the Batman? It was March. It was early March, right? Like
Right.
March 5th something, right? It's on HBO Max now.
Right.
And it started on April 18th. So like that kind of stuff starts to shift consumer behavior to where they go, I'd like to see this, but I can wait 45 days and see it at home with a subscription I'm already paying for, and then not have to pay for it twice. I think that at the time when HBO Max did its thing, there was a lot of panic in the film industry, and rightfully so. But then it sort of died off. They renegotiated their deals with people, with the theaters. They kind of calmed everything. I don't know that the theater should have gone back on with Warner, because I think they've done irreparable damage. And I think that the other thing is that with streaming, there is a certain type of content people are used to seeing at home, and it is movies like The Last Duel, The Northman, um, uh, The Green Knight, these sort of art house films that have come out
Right.
over the last couple of years. There is now an expectation that like that is at home viewing, because you don't have to worry about going on Twitter and everybody's talking about it, right? Like you do with Spider-Man No Way Home or The Batman. Those are events that people feel like they have to be a part of the social cultural movement around them, so they get out of their house so that they don't get left behind, they don't get FOMO, and they don't get left behind, they don't get spoiled. Okay. I
Right.
don't think it has anything to do with people being dumber. I think if anything, what the MCU has done, I would actually argue the opposite, is that the MCU has heightened people's content quality requirement for what they are willing to go watch. Because the MCU, whether or not you think it's great cinema, or whether you're on the Martin Scorsese side of the line, like, it is high quality entertainment. Good special effects, good CGI, big name actors, cool action sequences. Like, this is high quality stuff you're not going to get on Netflix. You're not going to get it on Hulu. This is like this is the big screen. So I think if anything, it has raised people's standards of what they will go to the movie to see. And even if you look back, let's look back pre MCU, right? So like Iron Man came out in 2008. Q1 2008, number one movie, Horton Hears a Who. 2009, number one movie, Q1, Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Oh dear.
So I ask you, Kirk, have audiences gotten dumber? Because I would contend that maybe they were a lot dumber before. Q1 2007, 300. Q1 2006, The Pink Panther. Q1 2005, Hitch, which I like. But you know what I'm saying? Like, these are not...
2009 was the armpit of film.
Youch.
That was such a high-rated movie.
That's
a
a rough
high-grossing
one.
movie. Oh dear. Yeah, I think your point is so valid that that's data right there. That what are people spending their money on? I mean, Kevin James drops a new movie today in 2022. That movie doesn't gross over 6 million.
That
Easy.
movie doesn't find the theaters, I don't think. It's one of the crappy movies that Netflix churns out. Like all these Adam Sandler movies that Happy Madison makes with Netflix that are like bad, cheesy comedies for
Huey
a very
Halloween.
specific, Huey Halloween type movies.
Ugh.
That stuff goes on streaming now. That doesn't even see the light of day. It's just it's going straight to streaming. So I think things have changed, but I blame streaming more than the pandemic, and I am now a skeptic as far as getting back to where we were in terms of theater attendance. I just don't think we will ever get there.
It's a bummer because what's also funny is that every time I've seen a movie in the past 3 weeks, the theater has been full. Now it's also been spring
I will
break,
agree. I will agree with that.
Also very full. You saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, you and one other person. My theater was packed. Now granted, it was a 30-seater, but it was full. It was completely full minus like 3 seats. Like, it was pretty impressive.
I saw Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Big deal.
At 9:30 p.m. on a weird night, like a Wednesday night, when it was either spring break or not, but that theater was packed, and it was an ultra screen, and I was shocked. I was floored. And that's the other thing. Like, it's not just MCU movies that are qualifying as event cinema. Like, family movies are back, and they were dead as a doornail during the pandemic because nobody felt safe taking their kids. But now people are like, I got to do something with these kids. The number one movie at the box office this weekend was DreamWorks animated film The Bad Guys, which I didn't even see advertised until a week before that thing hit the theaters, and it beat out The Northman and week 2 of The Secrets of Dumbledore, the freaking Wizarding World. That movie beat it out.
Wow.
So that is big. And yeah, if it's just the MCU making audiences dumber, why didn't people go see Morbius? Why didn't people go see Secrets of Dumbledore? I just disagree. I think that there's something different going on.
I disagree.
That's right. I disagree. So anyway, but getting into that and talking about streaming and consumer behavior changing, there's another big consumer behavior shift that happened when Netflix had its Q1 earnings interview at earlier this week. For the first time in company history, they reported a subscriber loss, a net subscriber loss in Q1. 200,000 subscribers gone from Netflix. And what did they project for Q2? An additional 2 million subscribers will leave Netflix in Q2. That's their projection. And Netflix is changing some things. So now they are saying that they're going to roll out an ad-supported tier of their subscription packages. They've also, whether or not this is related to their performance, they're axing all of their open animation projects that they had been working on. Any animation movies, anything like that going on. And as we've heard, the war drum is banging from Netflix on password sharing. They are coming for us.
Us?
All of us.
Us?
All of us. They are coming for us. So the question is, what's wrong with Netflix? Is it that their subscription cost is too high? Is it that their content is not good enough? Is it both? Will the ad-supported version help? Will people get it? What's next for something that seemed untouchable for so long?
I'll tell you, my thoughts are, there are devices out there, streaming devices of multi kinds that people say they jailbreak them, as the kids say.
Right.
And I just want to say to the creators of those devices, they should be held responsible for that being possible, for them to hijack those devices and log onto these crazy servers or whatever it takes for them to have access to millions of movies. Crazy piracy. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, one of our friends was watching a movie that was only in theaters from a jailbroken device. He was watching I, Tonya in his living room. And I'm like, wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. That's not streaming anywhere. That's not possible. And I don't understand. If I'm Netflix and I have all of the lawyers in the world, I'm going to go after them, or at least, divide a team to figure out how that would work on, I don't know, just like good faith basis on building your machines properly. Or otherwise you're aiding and abetting. It's crazy. And I feel like if we did that, it's going to cut out a big sect, and then you can leave the password sharing, and then you'll still get new users and not losing 200,000 or 200 million. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need an affordable multi-user plan, where people can use it from different IP addresses, different locations, etc. I think that has to be the thing, because there are people who will be sending their kids to college. What do you do with that? What, their kid can't have Netflix? Come on, bro. Or what happens when people are traveling and they're using a device that's not their own in a different state? You really want them to not be able to log into their account and authenticate and do all that stuff? That's a problem. But to your point, Kirk, piracy is huge. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, but I think you're absolutely right. Piracy is bad. As the disclaimer always says, piracy is not a victimless crime.
Right.
Because the reality is that it's like anything. When you lower how much people are willing to pay for something, the quality of it has to suffer, because if they can't make a profit off of it, they're not going to make the thing. And if they don't make the thing, then none of us have it.
Right. If I go to the grocery store and I keep stealing eggs and no one catches me, the price of eggs go up because they're losing their good, right? So it's that simple. I love about the tier thing. Couldn't we use their already built-in tiers and say, you can have a shared password if you pay for the top 2 tiers, like that's already in play? Like, someone can code that like tonight, and that would be fine.
Like Spotify and Apple are already doing this, where they say you get a family plan, we don't care where they are. Yeah. They have to have their own, whatever email address or whatever. And they can be in a different house, different location. Who cares? Up to 5 people type of thing. I feel like that works. And people would like if they just added that to our current, the one that, you and I are sharing, $19.99 a month, we'd be down. Right? Yep. It solves the same problem, and they don't lose anything, and it's all good. But I think that the problem is that their subscription prices are really high right now. And I don't, especially if you want 4K or anything like that, multi streams, etc. Like, and the competition is fierce. HBO Max is legit. Disney Plus is legit. Um, Prime Video is still pretty legit. Like there's a lot of competition. Hulu is beefing up. Like it's a lot, and I don't think that everyone's go-to is Netflix anymore. I just really don't think it is.
No, I mean I usually open Quibi, HBO Max,
CNN
Hulu,
Plus.
Netflix.
Did you catch my CNN Plus?
CNN Plus, rest in peace.
R.I.P. But yeah, Apple TV Plus is good too. I mean, I just don't. Netflix is not. It's on my rotation for sure, but it's not like I go there specifically to watch something. It's not a place where I go and browse anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. So that's sample size of one. But I just think this is interesting. But I think they need to. I think to your point, they need to be careful about attacking the password sharing stuff right now because it's been going on forever.
Yep.
And hasn't been a problem till now. The reason that I think they're losing subscribers now is really just because of inflation. Because the first thing that everybody does when their cash flow starts to suffer is look at subscription services. Mm-hmm. And if Netflix had content that everybody was stuck to, like they used to have with House of Cards and Stranger Things in its early days and Orange is the New Black and all these things that were like people had to be watching it, then people wouldn't cut it. They just wouldn't. So if your content's there, it doesn't really matter what happens in the economy. But the content I don't think is there right now. And that's part of the problem.
If Netflix would just buy NBC, then we could have The Office back on Netflix.
Yeah, and Parks and Rec.
Oh man, what a loss that was. What a loss.
Community.
Now Seinfeld is now streaming on Netflix, so that's a big bump for them.
It is for those people, but I think there's also a decent amount of people that as these things start to hop, they just go, I'm going to buy the box set.
It's true.
Because that like long term is a better investment.
Right.
So anyway, interesting to watch. We'll keep an eye on Netflix as they are in an interesting spot right now. Next up on the doom and gloom train of news is, according to The Wrap, early projections show that The Secrets of Dumbledore will be the first Wizarding World film ever to fail to cross $500 million at the global box office, which is unheard of. So I call this segment Requiem for the Wizarding World because no one saw Secrets of Dumbledore. They didn't see it opening weekend. They didn't see it this weekend. People went to go see the bad guys instead. And while the global box office has outperformed domestic so far, by a large amount, more lopsided than you would normally see, it still feels like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, that whole thread is on life support, and I think that's being kind. So what happens with the Wizarding World? Like they have a park in Orlando and in Hollywood that they have to keep running. Do you think the legacy of the previous 8 film franchise is enough to carry it? And if so, for how long?
I do. I would say for at least, like, at the level that it still is at, despite no one going to see this film, I still think it's got 25 years before it starts to be like, what's Harry Potter? That's my guess.
Well, yeah, because Star Wars sat dormant for a really long time before Lucas decided there needs to be a Star Wars for the new generation. Do you think that like our generation is treating the Harry Potter is going to treat the Harry Potter movies similar to how our parents' generation treated Star Wars, as in like this is a rite of passage film franchise that you have to watch, and that helps keep it alive for longer?
Definitely. And I think the 25-year mark makes that, right?
It would.
That's a full generation. Sometimes younger, sometimes
then
older,
it's the next generation you have to worry about, to your point. I think that's,
right.
After that,
our great-grandchildren, Cameron,
will be long gone. But yeah, that's the question. So I guess that's good. But there does come a point where like And we saw Disney do this. I'm convinced to this day, Toy Story 4 was a totally park driven move. I think that they totally planned on just letting 3 sit out there for a while. And then they built Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios in Orlando. And they thought, crap, we are going to need some content to fuel this wheel. Yep. And the easiest way to do that right now is just to make a 4th film and then figure out what we're going to do with the spinoffs. So the spinoffs are coming, aka Lightyear. There will be more. But at a certain point, there comes a time where you have to make park-driven decisions to keep things alive. Unfortunately, that's not exactly cinema, but that is business. So I just wonder how long it is before they have to start doing that.
Toy Story 5.
No, please. 4, while good and solid on paper, we were having this conversation the other day. The farther removed from it you are, the easier it is to say, this was an unnecessary movie. This should not have been made. And even though it is technically solid, there are some weird character choices that once you go back and revisit the first 3, like anybody with kids kind of does, you go, this was a mistake.
Yes.
So that's interesting. But the Wizarding World is on life support. Fantastic Beasts, man. I don't think it's long for this world. Warner cannot continue to fund something like this if it's not going to pay the bills. They just cannot do it. Okay.
What about the final one? What's it going to be called? Do we know what the final title is going to be?
I don't know. It's going to be the
trilogy ender.
The noun of pronoun is what it's going to be for sure.
I think that it should be like stripped down indie style. I mean, that will blow people's minds. Like, what? Kind of almost like, I guess not stripped down indie style, but of like Logan-esque, right?
Yeah.
You have Dumbledore. You find out how Jude Law gets from his current state to, Sorcerer's Stone state. And I think there is a real grungy way you could do that in an exciting way.
Yeah. Directed by Matt Reeves. Or
and David Ayer.
James Mangold. Yeah. Could be.
Goodness.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right. Some quick hitters. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are planning to star as Sonny Vaccaro and Phil Knight in a film about Nike in its early days, in its growth phase as they were trying to sign Michael Jordan to a shoe contract. And that's going to win Best Picture. I don't know when it will come out, but that's a guaranteed win, right?
Yes. Easy.
I mean, they're also going to write the script. They're going to write the script together, and Ben Affleck's going to direct it. He's already directed a Best Picture winner.
Right. They've
already co-wrote a script for an Academy Award-winning screenplay. Right.
They've both won Oscars.
It's the Phil Knight story, which his book Shoe Dog is like one of the most highly recommended autobiographies or memoirs out there right now. This is like, they said, hey, you want to go win a Best Picture? Let's go do it. We're gonna write this movie.
Ben Affleck is sober. Ben Affleck is re-engaged to Jennifer Lopez. I mean, it might as well be the 90s again, guys.
He's on top of the world.
It's perfect. It's the stars have aligned. We will get another Good Will Hunting out of this. This is the next Good Will Hunting.
He's peaking in his abilities, if you ask me. His acting abilities, he's peaking. I thought him in The Tender Bar was like unreal. Oh, yeah. I thought that movie was okay and like on the good side of okay for sure, but he was great. He was really great. So, and The Way Back, that was a awesome performance.
It was.
This could be good. This could be real good. All right. Next up, Warner Bros. Is making a Hot Wheels movie. It's going to be live action, and it's going to be produced by J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Productions.
Huh.
Now, this one lost me at live action because I tend to like what comes out of Warner Animation Group. They did all the Lego movie stuff. That stuff is awesome. It seems like doing an animated Hot Wheels movie that's like a similar art style where like the Hot Wheels look like real Hot Wheels and stuff like that would be the way to go. So I'm off put by like the live action and also like, what does that mean? Does that mean
what does that mean?
Does that mean this is like live action Speed Racer people driving Hot Wheels? Like what's happening here?
Yeah, are the Hot Wheels like? Is it basically live action cars?
Cars. Yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, Hot Wheels like don't have eyes and mouths and like aren't expected to talk. So there will have to be people in this.
right? And like, is there gonna be a catch line where it's like, "Let's go Hot Wheels," you
I don't
know,
know. It's so
or "Let's get Hot Wheels."
I
Like,
don't
what is it
know.
gonna be?
It seems weird to draw the parallel between like the toy and the film in this case. Though every toy is getting made into a movie right now. That's just a fact.
Yeah,
Um, this one seems hard to imagine.
this is Cars meets Fast and the Furious meets Gone in 60 Seconds, and if Nick Cage and Vin Diesel don't have a race, I will be angry.
Yeah, when will Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson start to like cash hit the cash on this feud that they have? Like
Right.
turn it into some real money. Like have some funny cameos and stuff, like start to really be cute with it. That day has to be coming.
If I'm the director of the Fast and the Furious franchise, I am going to put them in the same movie, but never have them film at the same time and just cut their scenes together and then
Yeah,
tell no one that they were never on set together.
absolutely.
It's that easy because people are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, they hate each other and they're in the same space. This is great." It's so easy. Why haven't they done it?
I don't know. Also, JJ has to bring in Michael Bay to direct this Hot Wheels movie. That's just
Easy.
like that's easy money. Like that's a free throw. You gotta just cash that in because
Yes.
that's what the people want. Give the people what they want here. Like I want it to be like my son for Christmas got a Hot Wheels track that is Octopus Car Wash,
Excellent.
and it's like you're getting a car wash and there's an octopus that's like evil. There's always like some sort of menacing force in a Hot Wheels track. It's
Yeah.
like picking you up and slinging you around. Like I'm envisioning that as the movie, and Michael Bay would direct the heck out of an octopus car wash Hot Wheels movie. That's too easy. Okay, the last quick hitter and the saddest one of all, which is why I saved it for last. So sad. This one, seriously, this is the first, and I'm really dragging it out now, but this is the first movie news story that really felt like a gut punch in a long time. And it's that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 has been delayed to June 2nd, 2023. Listen, this thing was coming out in October. Kirk. We were right there. It's like it's late. It's May, okay, right? It's like basically May right now.
Right.
We were 5 months away, and now we are a year away. A year and a month. Devastating.
Wow.
It's horrible.
That's
And then here's what's really hilarious about it. They throw us this nugget. But Across the Spider-Verse Part 2 will release on March 29th, 2024. I mean, seriously? Yeah, right. You expect
believe
me
you.
to believe that you're going to delay this movie a whole year, and then you're going to have the second one come out 8 months later? Poppycock.
no.
That's offensive. And they're going to delay that, obviously. What a joke. This is just rude. Rude on
How
Sony's part.
about they run they won't. But how about they run part 1 on the June 2nd, 2023 date? That's fine.
Yeah.
Movies typically fizzle out even at their height within 4 months. Play it 4 months later for us. Come on. 4 months. I give you 4 months. That's my challenge to you.
Oh, for the Part 2?
Part 2, same year,
Ooh.
2023. I dare you. I mean, wasn't Harry
Has
Potter the
it
one
been done?
who did that last? Like,
Did they do it?
They did it not 4 months, but it was like only like 6 or 7 months between them when they
Really?
released them. It was crazy. Not that long. That's too long. That's too long because that movie will not stay in theaters that entire time. It just won't.
No, it definitely won't.
It just won't. Even if you re-release it, it's not going to get enough steam. But if you shorten that window, that increases the intensity of, and then don't let it go to streaming. The part 1, right? Just only in theaters, and the second one only in theaters, and then 45 days after that, drop them both, right?
Which that's how Sony
Gosh,
rolls, so that's a good
why
plan.
don't they hire us, Cam? I don't understand this. We're brilliant.
I would have died before delaying this movie because I know how much it means to people. Seriously, this movie is going to be amazing. I'm calling my shot right now because the first one was so good, like near perfect. I can't live with this. This one I gasped out loud. I'm not even joking. I was on Twitter and I got the notification. I went like a mom who just like saw their kid almost fall down. Like that was my reaction to it. It was so visceral. But anyway, I can't talk about it anymore. I'm gonna tear up. Okay. After saying we were gonna give a short episode, we've gone on for incredibly long time, as we always do, because if brevity is the soul of wit, then Kirk and I are extremely dumb. So I'll leave you with this. We'll leave you with this. What to watch for this week? Uncharted releasing on VOD tomorrow. So if you're listening to the podcast, it's out. If you're on the stream, it's not out yet. Wait till tomorrow. We reviewed that movie. So if you're wondering, like, is it worth the rental? Is it worth the purchase? Go back and listen to the review. Make a judgment for yourself. We do have some spoilers in there, so just keep your eyes open on that. And if you do decide to watch it and then listen to the review, you can do that too. So
you can watch the movie and listen to the review at the same time. It does not like time out minute for minute, but it'll be very distracting, and you should try it and tell us what happens.
Will. There's like a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon Wizard of Oz type thing that happens with that one. Kirk and I worked extremely hard on it. So check it out. Start it right after the first time Tom Holland crashes through glass. As soon as you hit play and it will sync up perfectly. There will be all kinds of hidden coded messages. Trust me on that one. Okay, next up, Barry, season 3. Barry starring Bill Hader, HBO sensation. Season 3 premiere was last night on HBO. You can catch it now on HBO Max. So go take a look at that. And Kirk, I threw this one in just for you.
Yes.
Our boy Andrew Garfield, his show Under the Banner of Heaven releases on Hulu this Thursday. It's an FX on Hulu series, and it is a true crime story in the vein of like True Detective, though True Detective isn't true crime, but similar aesthetic there.
It's going to be so dark.
Are you hyped?
I'm so pumped. I am so hyped. I can't. I've been reading so much about this. I've been hearing about it, about what it's from the book it's from, and I am just ecstatic. I will gush about this a little bit later on.
Yeah, it's exciting. So those are the big 3 this week. There is absolutely nothing coming to theaters this week. I mean, nothing of note. So you can go to the movies. You can see probably Dumbledore will still be there. The bad guys, the Northmen, the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. You still have good options for what to go see. And Kirk and I are deciding what we will review, and we will get back to you on social media sometime tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But until that time, we'll leave you with the symphonic tones of Rhetoric, who created our original music that you hear at the beginning and end of the show. And I want to give a special thank you to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, and we will see you for our review later this week.
Talk to you then.
Bye.